Hi, let us proceed with our discussions with the literature review. This video is an extension from the previous one, sharing about my personal experience in doing the literature review. In our previous videos, we discussed about the important features of literature review, which I feel are important, that I always remind myself while doing the literature review. There are quite a number of the criteria here. Personally, I feel the last criteria is most important. That will be the patience of the persons who do the literature review. This is of course on the basis that all the other features are fulfilled. You know that doing a literature review is a long and slow process. It is very complicated, require a lot of readings. You need to review a lot of papers, understand the concept, noting down important points, and start writing for the literature review. You will not expect yourself to be able to complete the literature review at one go. Since there are so many papers involved, the informations are always scattered. And even within the same research topic, there are so many informations, specifications, as well as concept require discussions. And if we put everything together, it will be quite messy at the early stage. Then you will have to revise and further revise, refine and further refine until you come to a state the literature review is thorough enough, of good quality, well organized, and easily comprehensible. Before you reach to the final versions of the literature review, you will expect yourself going through the revision process many times. This is where the patience comes in. As the process is tedious and very complicated, so many informations, it is often beyond our manageable levels. Thus, you will need to do one task at a time and repeat the process several times until your entire literature review become more optimized. You have to be patient all the while, refine and further refine to a better quality literature review. Let us proceed with our discussions in terms of the process that I went through while doing the literature review. This is based on my personal experience, which I find this process is effective to me in a more guided way, knowing what I'm supposed to do throughout the process. Without further ado, let us get started. First is about searching for the articles. Normally our first priority, it will be renowned journals or database. For example, Science Direct. Knowing your research topic, type in the keywords for the relevant research topic, search through the website. There will be a lot of papers that you can download from there. You can read through the titles, see if it is relevant. For the relevant papers, you will need to download from the website and then keep it in your computers. Try to search as many papers as possible. Always go for the top journals. That will be a good start for you. Other than that, you may refer to the reference list of the relevant journals and then search through the relevant website for those journals. There are two ways to do that. Let's say you find a paper which is relevant to you. Access the paper and go to the references of the relevant papers. There will be a list of the reference here. Try to get those papers downloaded and keep it in your computers. Another way is you take a paper which you find is relevant to you. Go to the reference list, click through the link and download the relevant papers. You may also read the titles, see if the titles are relevant to your studies. Another way is you search through the Google Scholar, type in the keywords, and you will get a list of the paper. Or if you find some researchers who has been known to be famous within the relevant field, you may also use Google Scholar to search for that researcher and get all his publications in the past. Now that you have a good numbers of the articles, your next step here, it will be grouping of the articles. Quickly browse through the papers, looking at the titles, browse through the figures, looking at the content, and browse through the conclusions. For you to have a quick ideas the content of that particular paper. Then you can classify them in folders according to the relevancy, importance, or the topics. For example, something like this. You can make any titles as relevant as long as you understand what you are doing. At this stage, you will expect it is still going to be quite messy. It doesn't matter. Your purpose now is for you to know which group of papers is more relevant to you, as you cannot expect yourself to have time to go through every single papers that you have downloaded. Go for those highly relevant and you feel it is important, and also the topic that you feel is easier to cover first. After you've done classifications, it will be the reading part. Here the purpose here is for understanding of the topic that you would like to study. You will not expect yourself to be able to fully understand the entire papers at one go, and don't expect yourself to be able to read from the first word to the last word until completion of the paper. My personal experience here is you will definitely get lost. Now it goes back to our principles here, doing one task at a time. At the early stage, when you have little knowledge regarding the research topic, your utmost priority, it will be basic understanding and general knowledge related to the research topic. Since you have limited knowledge about it, your reading will need to be as broad as possible, as easy to understand as possible. Now your objective here is for the quick grasping. Normally this is what I will do. I will read through the abstract, introductions, and go straight to the conclusions. For a standard research paper, this will be the abstract. It basically summarizes the entire research in a very concise manner. And then the first sections, it will be the introductions. It establishes the general knowledge related to the research topic, the relevant studies, underlay the basic principles for you to have a quick idea regarding the research topic. Normally the introduction sections is quite easy to read because most of the points and discussion here, it will be principles and conceptuals in nature. Read through the text and try to understand the concept related to your research topic. And then later, you can go straight to the conclusions and read through the text in the conclusions. These are the findings given by the researchers. Normally, they will give you really in-depth technical insights, some takeaway points that the researcher would like the reader to have after complete reading the paper. As you read along the abstract introductions and conclusions, you will need to make notes along the way. Try to make short notes so that it is easily comprehensible to you. Make sure you do proper citing for the sources, because later you might need to come back and trace the relevant articles. You want to know the source of the informations. So you will have to work out a system for you to have the ability to trace the relevant informations. Sometimes you can even quote the full statement here so that you are able to trace the relevant statement within that particular paper. This is an example that how I do the taking notes. It is messy, of course. Doesn't look nice. The purpose here is to take notes For the tracing purposes, make sure you have the citation in place. You can use endnotes to help you to manage your journals so that you can trace the relevant papers easily. Use it to do the citations. And if you encounter certain points that you feel might be useful, at this stage you don't have to rephrase or writing for the literature review. You can simply quote an entire statement, copy and paste, and make sure you know where you can trace the relevant papers. Sometimes I do some highlights to draw my attentions and make some notes so that I know what I'm supposed to do later. This may involve print screen for the figures and tables, something like this. This is to remind me that there could be something useful that I may be adopting in my literature review. And as I read along, when I encounter any ideas, normally I will write down the comments or write down the ideas. Something like this, something like this, something like this, and others. There is no standard rules how you can write the comments and ideas. It will be depending on your levels of understanding at different stages of the review, which at the grasping levels here, your emphasis is try to understand the topic. The comments and idea, it will be more or less like this is a good paper, worth reviewing, or give some brief statement regarding the informations expectable for the relevant publications. Then at the later stage of your review, once you have higher level of understanding, you can synthesize more. Then your comment, it will be more towards your personal critical inputs, whether you agree or disagree with those informations and all sort. This is about the first round of reading, which your emphasis here is on understanding the basic principles. Now that you have gained better understanding on the concept, and if you wish to go into deeper, you can even refer to the result analysis and discussions. This one normally happens at the later stage of your literature review, where you can start drafting the literature review based on what you have gained here. And then as you go along, there will be a lot of questions arise. Something still not quite make sense based on your current level of understanding. And then if you really need to study further regarding their scope of study, their parameters, you may also refer to the methodologies. This process you have to look many times until you gather sufficient information. Normally what I will do, in order to make sure it is thorough and not biased, I will search through all the papers that I have in my computer, quickly browse through at least once for each paper, as many as I could. And then as I read along through the introductions, the author refers me to another publications. I will search through the relevant publications to cross-check the informations. So this process will go on and off until to a level which is close to the point of saturations. In the case that I have any questions, any confusions, anything that I still not fully understand, I will continue with this process. The process will look on and on and on. Here you will need patience, that you cannot expect everything complete nicely in one time. After making the notes, you know that it's going to be very messy. Something like this, it is very messy. It is very discrete by the papers. Your next step here is to sort the point. You can group the points together. You will observe different papers are talking about similar things and they have similar opinions. Then you can copy and paste, put them together. Then you will observe different researchers have similar opinions or similar observations in their study on the same aspects. Sometimes the opinions given by different researchers may be different. It doesn't matter. At this moment, you just need to know the similarity and differences. This is in line with the principles of not having bias in terms of the review outcome. Since the working principles are more or less the same under the similar research topic, normally a majority of the researchers will have similar opinions and observations in their research study. Then you can read through their analysis and discussions, try to understand the working principle behind it. And if it is agreed by most of the researchers, normally we know that the concept is more or less there. Sometimes you do encounter some researchers have different situations than the others. Their findings is totally different than the others, which are majority. Don't penalize the researcher first. There could be something that the general majority miss out. So you might need to look into the methodology as well as the parameters study, the conditions of the tests, to observe the differences of that particular researchers than the others, and try to understand why is the result different than the other majorities. This may be a research gap that you can identify for you to fill the purpose of your research topic. You may also classify the articles, something like this, or something like this. What you see here, it is still very messy because you still haven't started drafting the literature review. You will see this entire process here really takes a lot of time. Again, it requires patience and determinations. Remember that your focus now is still on the principle base, as it is easily remembered by you. Normally, I will not look into who are the authors. I don't even remember who are the authors, at least at this stage of gaining understanding. But as you go along, you will realize that a lot of researchers always refer to certain group of researchers. Then you know that this group of researchers most likely are making really significant contributions or revolutionize the relevant technology. Then make sure you go and search for that particular researcher and try to get as many publications as possible related to that particular researchers. It is only when you have all the information gathered, properly sorted, then you can start drafting. During drafting here, you will need to plan the sequence of informations being disclosed, writing for the storylines. You may compare and discuss the information that you gathered at the previous stages. You may also put them into tables and figures. For example, something like this. This one is still not quite fully established yet, but as you go along, it will become more and more well organized and established. Another example, or something like this, or something like this. What you see here, at this stage, it becomes more organized. In fact, while you're doing the drafting, planning the sequence and writing the storyline, it is the later stage of the drafting. Normally what I will do topic by topic, paragraph by paragraph. As long as I can make the entire paragraph here looks okay, acceptable to me, then I proceed with the other paragraph. Now the storyline and the sequence is not fully established yet. As you have all the paragraph constructed, now you can start planning the storyline and plan the sequence. Put everything together and it will become more and more organized in the form of a review paper. You will expect yourself continuously drafting and revising your literature review. There will be a process of rewriting, reviewing, proofreading and finalizing, on and off again. As you go through every times, you realize that there are something missing informations. Then you might need to go back reading, search informations from the notes that you have made, and redo the classifications, and then start incorporating into your literature review. For me, English is not my mother tongue. I will need to rely on several English writing tools helping me to proofread my papers. There are a few websites that you can go. This first one is this Hemingway. This website is helping you to write in the readable manner. You can copy your entire draft and then paste into the website here. There will be colors indicated over your text. Different colors carry different meanings. There will be a readability number here. It indicates to you the level of readability. The most ideal situation here is to have the number as low as possible, preferably without any red color here, unless it is inevitable. If not, you can try your best to avoid the yellow color, to have most of the sentences without any color. This is a free website helping you to check for the readability. Taking this as an example, copy and paste into the website here. It will indicate to you that what sentences are rather complex, and you have to consider whether you want to revise the statements. I use this website for me to deal with the readability part. As for the grammar checker, I use this Quillbot. Again, copy and paste into the website here. It will indicate to you any errors in the grammars. At the same time, I also use Grammarly to have it built in with my Microsoft Word. Turn on the Grammarly functions. It will indicate to me where are the errors that I need to rectify. For a non-native English speaker like me, the three website or software, it will be very important to make my review to be presentable. You expect you go several rounds of drafting and revising. Along the way, you might need to continuously loop the entire process as well. Now the next question is, when do you stop looping and when do you stop revising your literature review? My personal rule of thumb, the looping will stop until to a point of saturation and all of the questions are being answered. That means to a state that I gain most of the knowledge which I feel relevant to my research topic, and the time that I'm spending in working out of this yield very little improvement in terms of the knowledge gain. That means it is nearly reaching to the point of saturation. Then probably I can consider to stop looping the process. As for the revising and drafting, I will continuously revise and draft until to a state that there are no further or there are insignificant corrections required, that I can read through the literature review smoothly at one go, meeting the important features for the literature.